Madam President, on behalf of the Honorary Degree Committee of the University faculty, I present Katie Couric as a candidate for the degree of Doctor of Science honoris causa. One of our country's most successful and well-known television broadcasters, Katie Couric has used her public prominence to serve others, specifically to raise funds for research on colon cancer. Her efforts have raised more than $33 million to support scientists working to prevent and cure this disease.
Katie Couric, for your passionate commitment to medical research, and on the recommendation of the university faculty and vote of the Board of Trustees, it is my pleasure to admit you to the degree of Doctor of Science honoris causa with all the rights and privileges pertaining thereto, to bestow upon you the hood of this university and to grant you this diploma. Congratulations. Now I would like to tell you a bit more about our commencement speaker. Katie Couric is one of the few people in the world ever to be cited in a peer-reviewed medical journal as a single-handed catalyst for major changes in patient behavior. In July of 2003, the Archives of Internal Medicine published an article documenting the dramatic increases in the number of people undergoing colonoscopies in the 9 months after Katie Couric herself underwent the procedure on national television. The researchers dubbed this 20% jump in screenings the Couric effect. The count of lives saved by this act alone is itself mind-boggling, but Katie's advocacy extends well beyond this singular moment. After the death of her husband, Jay Monahan, in 1998, she co-founded the National Colorectal Cancer Research Alliance, the NCCRA, and more recently helped to launch Stand Up to Cancer, an organization dedicated to speeding the process of taking research breakthroughs directly to patients. In 2008 alone, the organization raised more than $100 million for translational cancer research. Katie Couric's efforts have touched our campus directly. School of Medicine professor Sandy Markowitz, Dr. Markowitz, has served as medical advisor for the NCCRA. Katie once mentioned one of Sandy's clinical trials on the air, and then the office received 5,000 calls from people interested in participating. Katie understands the critical connections among communications, awareness, education, and research. We are very grateful to her for her energy and her insight and all that she brings to this fight against colon cancer. And we are eager to hear the lessons she's learned from her work over the past number of years. It is my great honor to present to all of you today our 2010 commencement speaker, Katie Couric.
President Snyder, deans and faculty of this distinguished institution, honored guests, parents, grandparents, relatives of all kinds, and most of all, the class of 2010. I am so honored and thrilled to be part of your special day. But I have to warn you, from here on out, you all are going to have to call me Dr. Katie. This honor is even more meaningful because of Dr. Sandy Markowitz, a doppelganger for Rick Moranis in Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. He is a longtime friend whose lab is doing extraordinary work in the field of colon cancer. Among other things, discovering that colon cancers with microsatellite instability activate a polyadenine repeat with the type 2 TGF-beta receptor to become a mutational hotspot. I know. I don't really know what that means either. But the med students do. But believe me, his team is doing critically important and life-saving work, and I am so proud to be associated with their brilliance and dedication. It appears, with the exception of a few of you nodding off over there in row 12, that you have recovered from senior week. I'm certain the jolly scholar, however, was more jolly than scholarly. And I've heard they're also still cleaning up what's left of the pub crawl on West 6th. But you've earned it. You've spent 4 long years, and in some cases even more, pouring your hearts into your studies, squirreled away in one of those little cubicles at KSL or the law or med school libraries, cramming for those big tests, writing those big papers, hopefully minus the Adderall. Pause for nervous laughter. And taking a break for a couple of donuts from Presti's and a Tommy's milkshake. I was told as a student body, you all skew nerdy. More MIT than OU. But since the definition of a nerd is a person who is single-minded or accomplished in scientific or technical pursuits, I say bring on the nerd fest. And who says Case students don't know how to party? According to an article in The Observer, called The Best Bars in Cleveland, McNulty's at Coventry scored high marks because of its proximity to Taco Bell. Keeping it classy, Cleveland. Clearly, there has been a lot to learn during your years at Case, and now you're leaving your ivory tower for the concrete jungle. These are difficult times, and the job market outlook is less than rosy. That's not exactly a newsflash, is it? And sadly, it's not really possible to follow the Onion's advice that newly minted college grads be cryogenically frozen until the job market improves. Although that is one way to avoid moving back in with your mom and dad. The good news is you're graduating from a truly outstanding institution and you're well equipped to face the world. I know you may be anxious if you don't have a job. And even if you do, I'm sure you're wondering, will I do well? Is it the right fit? Well, for those of you who are still looking, I had a conversation this week with Ellen Gordon Reeves, author of Can I Wear My Nose Ring to the Interview? Yes, that's true. I didn't really peg you guys, by the way, as the nose ring types. Belly button rings, maybe. But I do think she offers some terrific tips, like get a business card before you even have a job. That's right. You never know who you'll meet at the dentist, on the bus, at a party. And she says, make sure there's a professional email on that card. No hotmama@hotmail.com. And that you have a professional message answering the phone number. No, yo, what's up, dude? Clean up your Facebook page. Monster.com reports that 55% of graduating seniors have already tailored their profiles to be suitable viewing for potential bosses. Good thinking. Posting photos of you guys doing body shots at Put in Bay is TMI, and that is BAD. Use social networks to, well, believe it or not, network. Ask your 3,000 plus friends if anyone knows someone at a company and if they'd be willing to connect you. Don't just send your resume into the black hole of cyberspace. Find people, not jobs, someone to talk to, even if it's just an informational interview. It's so hard to convey your energy, enthusiasm, and your emotional intelligence online. And do your homework first. Use your Case alumni connections. Nothing gives alums as much pride as helping one of their own. Check out career advice on other college websites as well. And once you get your foot in the door, remember the old Head & Shoulders commercial, you never get a second chance to make a first impression. So ditch the like, and remember the importance of a firm handshake and eye contact. By the way, how do you spot an extroverted engineer? When they talk to you, they look at your feet. Thought you guys would like a little engineering joke. Trying to satisfy all constituencies here. And, oh, by the way, good grammar is very important. I mentally cross off people when I hear the wrong pronoun. Harsh, but true. I was once, of course, standing in your pumps. In 1979, when I applied for an entry-level job at ABC in Washington, for 3 months I heard crickets. So I asked my mom to drive me down to the Washington Bureau in our Buick station wagon and wait in the car. I then walked into the building and I said to the receptionist, "May I please speak to Davey Newman?" She got him on the phone and I said, "Hi, Davey." He was the executive producer of World News Tonight, by the way. "You don't know me, but your twin brothers, Steve and Eddie, went to Yorktown High School with my sister Kiki, and I used to play with your niece Julie, who lives up the street from me. Do you think I could come up and say hi?" I think he was so completely flummoxed. He said, "Sure." And he ended up introducing me to the deputy bureau chief, who was in charge of hiring. That individual told me he admired my moxie, and I watched as he moved my resume from the bottom of the pile to the top. So now more than ever, you need to have chutzpah. You need to do something that sets you apart, that impresses. And ask not what the company can do for you, but tell them what you can do for the company. Be realistic. I'm not a subscriber to the helicopter parent refrain of, "Honey, you can do whatever you want." I really don't think you can. Sorry. You have to take a good hard look at your strengths, your weaknesses, your skills, and your shortcomings, but most of all, your passions. In 1978, Ina Garten, AKA the Barefoot Contessa, was writing nuclear energy papers at the White House, but was spending much more time making dinner parties for her friends in Washington. According to Ina, "My sweet husband Jeffrey told me I should do what I love doing, which was cooking. And if I loved it, I'd be really good at it." She bought a small specialty food store in the Hamptons called the Barefoot Contessa. Her passion, combined with the rise of a trend called nesting, created career kismet and led to 6 best-selling cookbooks and a hugely popular show on the Food Network. But even if you're not following your bliss right away, a less than dreamy job can actually help you achieve your dreams. You'll learn what you don't want, and you may meet people who can lead you to what you do. Still, doing what you love, as Ina Garten will tell us, takes a lot of elbow grease, or in her case, extra virgin olive oil. Which brings me to my next point: work hard. There is just no way around it. It may take you a little time to find out what you're good at, what you love, but once you do, realize that hard work is really the answer. That's a major point Malcolm Gladwell makes in his book, Outliers. He writes that to truly master something, you need to spend at least 10,000 hours doing it. After all, the Beatles played together more than 1,000 times before they became quote-unquote overnight sensations on The Ed Sullivan Show back in 1964. Last year, I interviewed Captain Sully Sullenberger, the pilot who landed that U.S. Airways flight on the Hudson River after birds knocked out both engines, saving all 155 people on board. While his story is about grace under pressure, it's also about the value of hard work. For 42 years, he told me, I've been making small, regular deposits in this bank of experience. And on January 15th, the balance was sufficient so that I could make a sudden, large withdrawal. But no matter how hard you all work, there's a good chance you'll stumble at some point. Everyone does. So let me recommend the P word: perseverance. Wherever you go, whatever you do, you'll find someone who will stand in your way or tear you down. In 1980, when I joined a little upstart venture called CNN, it was derided by my colleagues at ABC as chicken noodle news. When my first on-air opportunity came around, I fantasized that this would be the big break I would later describe in my best-selling autobiography. Instead, it became my own personal Stephen King novel. I was asked to do a live report very early the following morning, previewing the president's schedule from the White House lawn. I was 22 and terrified. When I got into place and I put my earpiece into my ear, I heard 2 incredulous anchors saying, "Who is that girl? She looks like she's about 16 years old." Yes, I did look young, and I sounded like Shirley Temple in Curly Top. Dear diary, what a disaster. The president of CNN, Reese Schoenfeld, called to say, "I never want to see that girl on the air again." But I know, sad, isn't it? But I remember feeling heartened by a coffee cup on the assignment desk that said, "Don't let the turkeys get you down." So to continue the poultry metaphor, I guess that's what you call pluck. But, I know, wah, wah. But Reese Schoenfeld was right. At that point, I really wasn't ready for prime time. So I worked hard, and lo and behold, I got better and more confident. And when opportunity knocked, I wasn't afraid to open the door. Don't get discouraged. As Linda Ellerby once said, some days you're the pigeon, and some days you're the statue. After Fred Astaire's first screen test, in fact, an MGM executive wrote, "Can't sing, can't act, slightly balding, can dance a little." You should also take chances. Most successful people don't get where they are today without taking a risk. When I was considering a move to CBS after anchoring the Today Show for 15 years, a friend of mine told me, "A boat is always safe in the harbor, but that's not what boats are built for. Get out of your comfort zone, even if that means at times being uncomfortable. The only way you'll really grow is to stretch." And I firmly believe that when it comes to the scorecard of life, you do get points for trying. As Teddy Roosevelt said, it's not the critic who counts, nor the man who points out how the strong man stumbles, or where the doer of deeds could have done better. The credit belongs to the man in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood. Hard work and perseverance may bring you material success, but they won't bring you a life that is truly rich. For that, you have to believe in a higher purpose. I found mine the hard way. In April of 1997, my 41-year-old husband, Jay, was diagnosed with stage 4 colon cancer. Our daughters, Ellie and Carrie, were 5 and 1. When I wasn't on the air, I was getting a crash course in cancer, frantically calling medical schools, pharmaceutical companies, and biotech startups, trying desperately to find a magic bullet. I never did. Jay died on the way to the hospital in January of 1998. During his 9-month battle, I marveled at his courage, humor, and extraordinary grace. While he was sick and following his death, I felt like there was a vice around my heart 24/7. But 6 simple words written by Thomas Jefferson inspired me to go on. The earth is for the living. I realized that we're all terminal. We all have a finite period of time on this planet. I could not let cancer destroy 2 lives. My daughters needed me, and I was in a unique position to try to prevent other families from going through the terrible loss mine had endured. The National Colorectal Cancer Research Alliance has raised awareness of this second leading cancer killer and provided funding for critically important research like Sandy Markowitz's. Meanwhile, my on-air colonoscopy demystified a procedure that saves countless lives. It's been called, as we heard, the Couric effect, but I call it the Jay Monahan effect. My goal really was to create a movement, which may be a very bad or very good choice of words. Pause for laughter. Med students are a little slow over there. Stand Up to Cancer has been another exciting initiative. It's so far committed $85 million to fund scientific dream teams working on all different kinds of cancers from a number of institutions who for the first time are being forced to be collaborative, not competitive. The scientists participating in this new research model are incredibly jazzed and believe it will move life-saving research forward faster. And finally, the Jay Monahan Center for Gastrointestinal Health at New York Hospital has treated more than 12,000 patients who have found a place that offers seamless, comprehensive, compassionate care. So many families have told me it's been a godsend during a terrifying and anxious time. And for all of you going into the medical field, please remember your bedside manner really matters. I know, I've been there. My colon cancer work has been more gratifying than any interview I've ever conducted or any story I've ever done. It's helped me to serve others, and I hope teach my children well. I know this message will resonate with all of you because this campus has become a model for volunteerism, from after-school programs for inner-city kids to law clinics to healthcare screenings. I know some of you who are graduating from the School of Social Work are committing your lives to giving back. But I know that all of you, and I hope all of you, will carry this generosity of spirit with you long after you see Case Western Reserve in your rearview mirror. And finally, be kind. The English poet William Blake wrote, "He who would do good to another man must do it in minute particulars." How you treat others, the minute particulars, will inform the big decisions you make, and small acts of kindness are the measure of a man or a woman. As author Annie Dillard wrote, "How we live our days, of course, is how we live our lives." And it's not only the right thing to do, it also pays off. People want to see good things happen to good people. If you're kind and caring, they'll be cheering you on instead of booing you from the sidelines. When I was promoted to co-anchor of the Today Show, a hard-nosed veteran producer looked at me and said, "Kid, today you may be drinking the wine, tomorrow you could be picking the grapes." Those same people you pass as you climb the ladder of success will be the same ones who will catch you if you fall. And finally, be kind macrocosmically as well. In this digital age, it is so easy to be a hater. Elevate the conversation online and in life. Don't let civil discourse become an oxymoron. And pursue whatever you do with honor and integrity. You know, I've met so many talented and accomplished people in my career. I emailed a number of them when I heard and was asked to give this graduation address. And I said, what advice would you give to the Case Western Reserve University class of 2010? And believe it or not, some of them even wrote me back. Former Vice President Al Gore, choose the hard right over the easy wrong. Attorney General Eric Holder, you're better prepared than you may realize, and your gifts, skills, contributions, and acts of service have more power to make this world a better place than you may ever know. My generation and future generations are counting on you all. No pressure. Michael J. Fox, as much as we can, it's helpful to be in a place of gratitude. None of us is entitled to anything. We get what we get, not because we want it or we deserve it, but because we earn it. We respect it. And only if we share it do we keep it. Queen Rania of Jordan wrote, if you're too big for a small job, you're too small for a big one. And she said, commencement has one more lesson to teach you. Beware of arrogance, and hubris. Why do you think they make you wear that silly hat? I hear ya, Your Highness. Condoleezza Rice told me, I'm so often asked, how do I get to do what you've done? And I say, you start as a failed piano major. The point is that life is full of surprises and serendipity. Drew Brees, quarterback of the New Orleans Saints, wrote, find what you love to do and then figure out a way to get paid to do it. Chelsea Handler's words of wisdom, always be generous to those who help you, those who advise, to those who work for you, and those who love you. Generosity brings success your way and goes further than talent of any kind. And no matter what, don't sleep with your boss. I think there's a story there. General Ray Odierno, the U.S. commander in Iraq, wrote, I have learned that greatness is never found in possessions, power, position, or prestige. It's discovered in goodness, humility, service, and character. And I can tell you, General Odierno exemplifies all of those things. In exactly 140 characters, Twitter co-founder Biz Stone said, think about what is valuable before thinking about what is profitable. And know that there's compound interest in helping others. Start early. Anna Quinlan, one of my favorite writers, described fear and said it's your biggest enemy. And she said, quote, carry your courage in an easily accessible place every day, the way you do your cell phone or your wallet. You may still falter or fail, but you will always know that you pushed hard and aimed high. Courage is the ultimate career move, and don't pass on dessert. Sheryl Crow, inspired by a book called The Four Agreements, said, don't take things personally, don't make assumptions, make your word impeccable, and do the best you can. As Cheryl sang, every day is a winding road. As you all map out your life and program your personal GPS, remember the shortest distance between point A and point B may be a straight line, but it really is the twists and the turns, even the detours and the stop signs that make the journey worthwhile. So roll down the windows, soak up the sun, and enjoy the ride. And by the way, don't text and drive. Congratulations to all of you, and as Edward R. Murrow would say, good night and good luck.